Okay, shall I share my screen about
Yes,
the
please.
presentation?
If you,
Yeah, just a moment.
no worries. That looks great. We can all see your screen now.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me for this webinar. My name is Xuequin, and I'm working for World Animal Protection and mainly responsible for farm animals. I worked from 2014, and many of my works are focused on pigs campaign and chicken campaign. Today, I would like to mainly focus on pigs welfare work, which we are working here in China. So I might talk a little bit about my organization, World Animal Protection. And then I just have a very simple clarification about animal welfare, which we all know very well. And the third one is the key part of my work in China is about high welfare farming practice and some lessons learned. So as you all know that World Animal Protection is an international NGO, and we start our work in China in early 2000s. And we start with human slaughter work, and then gradually we work for pigs, and then we have chickens campaign then. So all our work is focused on protection animals, and we hope that all the people can join us to protect animals so that we can move a world to protect animals. So we are working in 4 areas: farm animals, animals in communities, animals in the wild, and animals in disasters. In China, we are mainly focused on the 3 areas for including farm animal communities and also wild animals. Animals in disasters here in China, we didn't get involved too much yet. So simply talk about animal welfare. As you may know that in China, animal welfare is still a new word. It's started to be known for the industry and the public is only in the recent years. And there is a big confusing between animal welfare and human welfare. So they always consider that animal welfare is a very high rights for animals. So in our work with partners, we still need to clarification that animal welfare is just a good state of animal welfare, which include health, comfortable and well-nourished and safe environment. And also we hope to express animals' natural behaviors for many species. And we also hope that when we work with partners, we want the people to understand that unnecessary stress for animals is also not good for animals. And what we can do to achieve that, that's very some, basic providings for animals, including water, food, disease prevention, and healthcare, and also some appropriate environment as well. Also, when we explain to our partners, we also need to talk about how to express their natural behaviors. So, for example, some of the nesting behaviors for sows when they giving birth for piglets, kind of that. And meanwhile, we also talk about during transport, transport period is also a good opportunity to increase animals' welfare as well. So when we talk about pig campaign in China, a little bit background for pig industry. As you know that in China, pig production and consumption are kind of occupying the 0.5% of the world pork population. And this consumption and production is continue to rise. And in the past, in China, many of the pig farms are small backyard farms. And in the recent years, with the government encouragement and with the, some small farms withdraw the market, there are more and more a trend that there are big intensive farms instead of small backyard farm. So there is one side effect of intensification is that in those very big intensive farms, animals are always treated as a food objects, not as sentient beings. So this is a very, very welfare concerns for all animal protection organizations. And there is another thing in China is that there is no dedicated animal welfare laws. We do have wide animal protection law, but that's not very much expressed to farmed animals. So there is no limitations for those industry to consider about animals' welfare, typically for farm animals. So in this circumstance, our organization has the pig campaign around the world, including China. So we have our pig campaign's goal here is that all pigs are able to live in stable social groups in comfortable environments with opportunities to express their natural behaviors. So these two pictures, so we all know that that showcase that there are different system of pig farm. The first one is definitely saw stores for a very traditional farming. The second picture is the group housing system with high welfare. So we work in China through different channels, and what we want is to improve the government to make policies or regulations to improve pigs' welfare. So what we do to achieve that, we go through three channels. The first one is that we work with public and consumers. We want the consumers to know how pigs are farmed and what's the welfare behind that. And then we work with the food companies, including fast food companies and retailers, to improve their standards for their supply chain. And we also work directly with pig producers to trial high welfare farming so that they know that's workable in China, and then they want to use that and scale up when that model is succeed. Here I listed some of the welfare issues for pig production and in pig industry. The first one is, and also is the most serious thing, is that the close confinement for sows. This is very typical welfare for all the sow farms. And as we know that more than 2/3 of the sow farms in China are still using sow stalls for for their farms. So this is a very serious issues, and we think that's top one issues in China. So we start with this campaign in China for stores work. And then we also consider about the piglets welfare, that's procedures and mutilations, including tail docking, teeth clipping issues as well. Meanwhile, we also think burying environment for pigs is not appropriate, because consider about natural behaviors for pigs. Burying environment cannot benefit their welfare for those pigs. And also there is a big issue between the transport when pigs are sent to the slaughterhouse. So they also has a big welfare issues towards this. So consider the welfare issues, we also give the suggestions about how to increase pigs' welfare. So group soil housing system is one of the most important system which we are encouraging the Chinese pig industry to consider. And it do have some companies start to using this group housing system. However, because of their technologies and also because of their human resources, it's a little bit difficult for some companies to continue to use this group housing system. And we work with companies to try to illustrate their technologies and advantages of a group housing system. And also we are helping our pilot farms to well manage their groups when they have this system. So that's including how to divide a pen into different functional area, and how to manage the groups in a very stable groups, etc., etc. Meanwhile, we also encourage the companies to try enrichments. We also provide different alternatives for the companies to consider under their local circumstance. So in China, they tried different materials like wooden log, straws, and even use some grass. So that's all affordable for the local producers to consider. We also mentioned about antibiotics. We think that now Chinese government are start to ban antibiotics use for promoting and growing up process. But also we are not encourage antibiotics free for all the pigs farm, because we considered that responsible use of antibiotics is very important, and also it's good for animals' welfare. So we think that when animals are sick, they still need the treatment and need to have health care. That might need an antibiotics use. Here, I also listed some activities we are doing in China for this campaign. So I think from 2016, we started to work with our pig producers, and we are working on pig welfare. We visit pig farms every pilot farms 2 or 3 times every year from 2016. So we invite welfare experts to the farm and visit the farm and assess the welfare. And then we give some technical advice to those pilot farms so that can improve their pigs' welfare and also improve their production. So here are some of our pilot farms. In 2015, we have the first two companies join us to try high welfare farm. One is in Zhejiang province called Qinglian Food Company. The second one is in Guangdong, which is in South China, called Dexin Food Company. And in 2018, we have another one called Dabeinong Group, which is one of the biggest pig producer in China. 2019, CP China joined us to try high welfare farming and agreed to use group housing system for all their new farms from then on. And also there are two other companies join us as well and committed to use cage-free for all their pig production. Our first two pilots, including Dexin Food companies, I give a case study about this company because this is a very typical model for our campaign. This company is a pioneer of group housing system. In North China, they first in 2015 they have breeds from 10,000 stalls, mostly housed in groups, and then they gradually expanding. Now it's about nearly 20,000 sows. They agreed to replace all the gestation stalls and they used the enriched group housing system. Here you can see that the picture, the sows are stayed in a group housing system and they are playing with this suck bag. And also here is a picture of the pilot farms. The people are, the groups are very stable. They lie on the concrete floors, and they also have slatted floor to play. And it is noted that for these companies, when they start with us and 1 year after, their PSY has increased 1%. So that's a very unique achievement for that. So after 2 years work with these two companies, both of these two companies are very happy to make the commitment to phase out soil stores. So this is very unique in China because normally Chinese companies are very rare to commit it on something, typically for technical things. But because of our engagement with them and they saw this achievement, so they agreed to make this commitment to ban soil stores. Meanwhile, we also have, our organization also worked in globally with other companies like Betgrow in Thailand, BRF in Brazil, and JBS in Brazil. And they all committed to ban soil stores. Other activities, we here in China, we also show the companies that high welfare farming is workable. So we invite those companies to Europe to visit the high welfare farms, so that will make the confidence for those companies to join us. Also, we use different platforms to advocacy on high welfare farming. So we are participating in national conference, and we use the opportunities to educating that high welfare is a global trend and is workable for Chinese companies. So that will increase the confidence for the industry to join us. For the consumers, we did different pollings. We did global polling, which shows that 72% of people internationally believe that the way intensively raised pigs are kept is upsetting and it's wrong. And also typically for China, those interviews are willing to change their shopping area if the supermarket committed to improve the lives of pigs. We have this kind of feedback, and then we share this with the supermarket and also with the producers, saying this is the requirements from our audience that they want high welfare products, which can also send a signal to those industries to consider about pigs' welfare. Meanwhile, we also use different activities to mobilize consumers. We have an interactive wall activity in big shopping mall in Beijing and Shanghai. So in the interactive wall, we comparing low welfare and high welfare farming for pigs so that people can easily understand what is high welfare farming, what is low welfare farming. And then they have the different welfare issues illustrated by this interactive wall. So people can really understand, and then they are willing to join us and support us to improve pigs' welfare. We all believe that good animal welfare can make the good things for animals and also good for business, so that we're good for the human beings. Thank you so much for your listen, and that's all for my presentation.
Thank you so much, Xu. Just a reminder that if you have any questions that you would like to send to Xu, you can use the Q&A panel. But meanwhile, I have questions myself, but I cannot submit it through Q&A, so I'm just going to ask it to you directly. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Xu. I think it's a very interesting, the way that you campaign in China is very different from the work that we do in Thailand. I just would like to ask, so you are talking predominantly about getting in touch with pork producers. So I am just curious how you got in touch with them and whether there's never any resistance from their side at all, because when we work in Thailand, we are trying to get in touch with producers as well, but then they are we can see that they don't want to talk to us. So I just would like to hear from you how you get in touch with these producers.
Yes, I fully agree with you. It's very hard for those producers to have dialogue with NGOs, typically for those international NGOs. So we understand that international NGOs is a very unique position in countries, in Asia countries typically. So we work with industry association. That's very unique here in China. We work with those industry association who has a very good relationship with those pig producers. So they worked as bridge to link us and the pig producers. So at the beginning, those associations understand, typically there are some animal welfare associations in China. So they are willing to improve animal welfare. And meanwhile, they are very familiar with pig producers. And pig producers are kindly, they need to join some, activities which is organized by those associations. So kind of three parties working together. We have those kind of international ideas coming to this industry and association, and then association coordinating the dialogue with all of us. So it's not that easy, to be honest, but it do have a very good channel to speak out our voice. And then they are starting to consider how this will go, and they are willing to cooperate with us. Yeah.
How long did the process take since you start contacting the producers until they make the commitment?
That's the beginning when I start working in this organization. I think that's we start about end of 2014, and then we signed statement at 2015. So that's about 1 year's time.
Right.
And now it's much easier because I mentioned that we use the big platform like national conference. We have presentations in that national conference, so that more and more industry knowing about us, and they know that animal welfare is kind of a trend. So they are start to consider about animal welfare. Then they also start think about working with us. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you. And then I saw that you are also in touch with Better Grow in Thailand as well.
Yeah.
Are they?
Office.
Yeah, they are exporting to China. Is that why you are in touch with them? Better
No, it's not us, because our pig campaign is an international work. So we do have our Thailand office working with Better Grow for that.
So the team in Thailand. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I can ask them instead.
Yeah, you can ask them.
Sure, thank you. And I have one last question from me. So other people, if you have any questions at all, please don't submit it through Q&A panel. You'll be able to find it next to, if you scroll your mouse down, you'll be able to find the Q&A panel next to the participants. So my next question is about the campaign for consumers, the one where you were just talking about how you have kind of like an interactive learning booth in the middle, the middle of the shopping mall. This is not something that we have done before, so I would like you to share a little bit more about it. How did people react to that campaign, and how was the result?
Oh, that one is, we do that activities in 2018 and 2019. In 2018, we do the activity in Beijing. And then last year we did that in Shanghai. So that's two big cities in China. We all use a very popular shopping mall. And then we work with creative agency to build this interactive wall. So people, when they walked there, they are curious about that, because that's very a new thing for them as well. And they saw many pigs there. So we put all the information we want on the interactive wall. People can touch, so that's very attractive for children. They can touch and then they can read. And also we have some kind of takeaway materials. Also print all the key messages from what we want about pig welfare. So they can also take back home and read that. And people can read there, they know about that, and they are supporting us as well. So it's quite popular because it's very unique for them. Nobody use shopping malls to talk about pigs. So yeah, we think that's a very good activities. I think it's in 2018, more than 16,000 people support us. And last year, it's more than 18,000 people join us as well. So that's very, very positive outcomes from the activity. Yeah.
By joining, you meant they signed the petition after they participated?
Yes, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, they just, you see that there's a picture with people's hands. If they touch that, they mentioned they agree to join us to support. this campaign and improve
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us about that. We already have one question in the Q&A panel from Sharon from the Philippines. So Sharon's question is, how did you approach the producers? Because here in the Philippines, they are afraid to work with us once they learn that we are an animal welfare group. They think that we are after them to close them down or something like that. So when what they all really want is just to work with the producers to learn the best practice and to improve the welfare of animals.
Yes, I think you have the similar questions with him as well. So yeah, so here in China, we work with industry associations. So they have very good relationship with producers. So we work with industry association, and then we educating them first about animal welfare, and then the association will work with a channel to 3 parties, and then we worked together to move this forward. So we give technical advisors, and associations might give some pressure to those producers. So that will make the producers to move forward and take actions.
Right, thank you so much. I hope that answered your question, Sharon. If you would like to ask more follow-up questions, you can also unmute yourself and ask directly here as well. So we have another question in the chat group. I'm just gonna read it out loud. So Jantari asks that, were you introduced to the producer? I mean, like, I think what she meant is that did the association introduce you to the producer, or how did that work? Something like that, right? Jantari, would you like to unmute yourself and explain a little bit more?
Yes, you were correct. Thank you.
Okay.
So you mean specific producers, right?
Yes. Were you? Yeah. Meaning, what was the first initiative to get to know them? How did it happen?
The first for the first pilot exam, for example, on the first 2 pilot companies for our campaign, we didn't have the exactly name. Means we didn't point out which companies we might engage, but we give some limitations, saying we want some middle-sized pig producers in different locations, because China is quite big and the environment is different, and they might have the different situations, maybe in North China or in South China. So we have this kind of information to the association, and then the association have these resources in hand, and they know what kind of situation producers might achieve. So they will give us some suggestions, kind of list of those producers, and then we might access which companies is suitable for us. And then we also take the visit to the farm to consider whether it's the real situation like what we mentioned. And finally, we confirm that. So that's also why we cost 1 year to conform the first 2 pilots, because we are not familiar with those companies at the beginning. And then we need a lot of, monitoring and evaluation, and then finally conform. But now we are more familiar with the industry. So sometimes we might just mention we want to engage with which company. So they will consider about that. Yeah. Is that what you want?
June? I think, okay, maybe I accidentally muted her. Hi, Hi, June. You should be able to talk now. Sorry about that.
Yes, I'm sorry. I wasn't I just got here not too long, like 10 minutes ago. So but then I understand. Yeah, I understand it was like it sounded like a 1 year process that you have to go through.
Yeah, something. Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
it's like that.
It's pretty long. Yeah, go ahead, Mish.
No worries. I just would like to tell you that there will also be the recording that I will send to all participants later, just in case you would like to, watch Shu's presentation. There's a lot to learn about that here. But thanks for joining us for the Q&A anyway, June. All right. I don't think. No worries. I don't think there's any questions. Last call for the questions, everyone. Right. So if there's no question, I would like to make a short announcement before we end this webinar learning session. It's time already anyway, because we only have 5 minutes left. So thank you so much, Shu, for sharing your expertise and your experience with us today. And I have a very short announcement to make. This internal learning webinar series, it's just one activity among many others for World Day for Farm Animals Asia. There are more lectures, webinars, and ones that are not only open for NGOs, but also open to the public. So anyone is free to join. So you can check out more events at the website that I will be sending through the chat panel right now. There you go. So you can check that website out and register for other events that are happening. So coming back to our internal learning webinar sessions, there are 2 more sessions left, which will take place tomorrow. All of them are very interesting. So one is about battery cage ban policy in Taiwan by the Environment and Animal Society of Taiwan, or EAST. And the other one will be about cage-free campaigns for egg-laying hens in South Korea by Korean Animal Welfare Society. I will send the details also in the chat box. You can check the time that these webinars will take place tomorrow. And so thank you very much, Shu, for your time. And also thank you for all the attendees who are spending your time with us today. Before we go, I would like to invite everyone to unmute yourself and put your hands together for Shu.
Thank you.
All right. I think, so I'm sorry, Ina, if you, I will pass your question on to Shu to email, and then I will forward her answers to you later on. Is that okay, Ina? I hope that's okay. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day, afternoon, and evening. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.